Good evening. I'm Dr. Rob Shoemaker, President and CEO of the Indianapolis Zoo. This is a streaming presentation of the Indianapolis Prize Gala presented by Cummins. Tonight is a celebration as we honor champions of animal conservation. We hope you are inspired by the power of what one person can do to protect nature. Thank you for joining us.
This is the Indianapolis Prize, the world's leading award for animal conservation. Now, please welcome Project Trio. Please welcome the President and CEO of the Indianapolis Zoological Society, Dr. Robert Shoemaker.
Good evening. On behalf of the Indianapolis Prize Committee and my colleagues at the Indianapolis Zoological Society, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'd also like to, please. I'd also like to welcome all of you who are joining this evening's celebration via simulcast. I am so happy to be here with all of you. We gather tonight with family, old friends, some new friends, and members of our extended community for a simple reason: to celebrate. Across all human cultures, coming together, sharing a meal, and telling stories is how we mark significant events. And the stories you will hear tonight simply couldn't be more important. All of us are aware of the enormous challenges that are being inflicted on the natural world. They are real and they are sobering. But the tremendous accomplishments of the people we honor tonight provide us with hope and genuine inspiration. The work and relentless dedication of these remarkable people makes me truly optimistic. Optimistic for our communities, optimistic for future generations, and optimistic for the preservation of the natural world. I know that same optimism is shared by the people that I'm fortunate to work with every day at our Indianapolis Zoo. The zoo's mission is to protect nature and inspire people to care for our world. To accomplish these goals, we know that you expect us to combine mission with strategy, passion with conviction, and thought with action. We embrace that responsibility, knowing that we must play a respectful, responsible, and thoughtful role in doing our part to conserve the integrity and diversity of nature. Along with you, we want to give back and build a home, knowing that every one of us can make a positive and important difference. The Indianapolis Prize shines a light on the heroes who are leading the way to save our home. They combine creativity, intellect, and scientific rigor with action, and each of them has been wildly successful. The people you will come to know better tonight are champions of conservation. They are changing the world. They are making an authentic difference in saving species, and we are so proud to honor them tonight. Thank you. Our celebration tonight has been made possible by several generous donors. The Eli Lilly and Company Foundation is a founding partner, and the Lilly Endowment has been instrumental in securing the future of the Indianapolis Prize. Cummins is the presenting partner for tonight's gala. The Heritage Group is our partner for outreach and education. Polly H. Hicks is our VIP reception sponsor, and PNC Bank sponsored the welcome reception. WTHR Channel 13 is our leadership partner and will air an hour-long special on the Indianapolis Prize next Friday. Please help me thank our partners. They are committed to making a better future for all of us. There are 8 billion people in our world, but just a few champions for our planet who have the right stuff to be the 2021 Indianapolis Prize finalists. They are building the home we will pass to those who follow us.
The natural world is so special. This place is very close to my heart.
What I love most is to be outside.
There is a house built out of stone, wooden floors, walls, and window sills.
This is where it all started.
Tables and chairs warmed by all of the dust. This is a place where I don't feel alone. This is a place where I feel at home.
I want to see it. Seeing it is believing it.
Everyone works for something, hopes that it will survive.
There is a tree as old as me, branches were sown by the color of green. I climbed the tree to see the world.
The only way to improve things is to continue to fight.
Everybody can make a difference for the ocean and for the world. Just throw your heart and soul into it.
They may mission of my life is to save as many species of plants and animals from extinction.
We have the power of giving back to the natural systems on this little blue miracle that we call home.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and welcome the finalist for the 2021 Indianapolis Prize. Dr. Dee Boersma. Dr. Christophe Boesch. Dr. Gerardo Ceballos. Dr. Sylvia Earle. Dr. John Robinson. And the 2021 winner of the Indianapolis Prize, Dr. Amanda Vincent. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2021 Indianapolis Prize honorees. Now, please welcome our host for the evening, Chief Environmental Affairs Correspondent for NBC, Ann Thompson, and television host and co-founder of Big Blue and You, Danny Washington.
Good evening. Rob certainly was correct when he spoke about the interconnectedness of all things. My job is largely about finding and understanding connections between people, ideas, and outcomes, then connecting with you through reporting and storytelling. I'm also really excited about Rob's optimism. Hope is an indispensable first step toward accomplishment, which is why we're here tonight. And one woman who brings conservation, connection, and hope together is my co-host tonight, Danny Washington. Danny, welcome to the Indianapolis Prize.
Thank you so much, Anne. Wow. I talk about the importance of creating real connections and clear lines of communication between the general public and the science community, people like the Indianapolis Prize winners and finalists. There are so many answers in science, but we need effective, trustworthy bridges between those answers and the policymakers and organizations who put them into practice. That's where you and I come in. Saving our planet is, of course, a big job. That's one of the reasons why there are 3 chairpersons for the Indianapolis Prize Executive Committee. Please welcome Ann Nobles, Dan Appel, and Myrta Pulliam. Please welcome the chairs of the Indianapolis Prize.
Good evening. I speak for Dan and Ann when I say it's great to see so many friends and familiar places. I think we've all missed one another. The Indianapolis Prize is all about sustainability, doing what we can to strengthen the future for all of us. We've made a number of changes to the Indianapolis Prize over the years. Tonight we're introducing 2 new sculptures, one recognizing the Jane Alexander Global Wildlife Ambassador and another recognizing the winner of the Indianapolis Prize. Chinese artist Zheng Liu was selected from an international pool of artists to design and create the new Jane Alexander Global Wildlife Ambassador Award. His commission for the award represents water's key role in life, and the sculpture evolves as a reflection of the DNA helix. I think you'll agree it's spectacular. Bruce Little, a South African artist, is a sculptor and a conservationist. His commission for the Indianapolis Prize Winners Award is created in bronze and represents endangered species from our skies, waters, and land. And I can't help but just turning around to look at the pictures. It aims to inspire empathy and appreciation for nature. It embodies the complexity and the precious nature of our world. Let's please recognize the artists who created these important works. There's something that I know Dan and Ann and I are committed to, and that's doing the right thing. Our friend, the distinguished actress Jane Alexander, has shown so many the way when it comes to doing the right thing to ensure the future of the natural world. She's been deeply involved with the Indianapolis Prize since its beginning, and the Indianapolis Prize Jane Alexander Global Wildlife Ambassador Award honors her contribution and underscores the importance of credible, consistent, effective public voices for the sustainability of wildlife. Jane herself was the first recipient of the award. Sigourney and Weaver and Harrison Ford are some of our most recent ambassadors. We have very high standards. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome award-winning actress, conservationist, and honorary chair of the Indianapolis Prize, Jane Alexander.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne, Myrta, and Dan, and good evening, everyone. I've been a conservationist for as long as I can remember, and a part of the Indianapolis Prize from that very first stunning gala 15 years ago. Perhaps you will remember it, some of you. Yes. While our world has certainly changed since then, the work of so many good people fills me with optimism. These good people include children, parents, scientists, actors, teachers, journalists, and business people. More people every day are understanding that our planet's future and the futures of our children and grandchildren rely on a world that is rich, nurturing, and joyful. People like the Indianapolis Prize finalists and winners are showing us the way, but they do need help sometimes to get their message across. When the Indianapolis Prize created the Jane Alexander Global Wildlife Ambassador Award, it was to do just that. And I am deeply, deeply honored to have the Ambassador Award named for me and to have been its first recipient. I know that Sigourney Weaver and Harrison Ford are equally honored, pleased to have an additional platform from which to tell the story of conservation heroes, their challenges, and their victories. And now we have a new champion. His Serene Highness, Prince Albert II of Monaco, is a man for our time. He studied political science at Amherst College and then continued his studies in economics and management, and he was a 5-time Olympian. He's also a lieutenant commander in the Naval Reserve. His Serene Highness has led multiple judicial and legal reforms in Monaco, including protections of the privacy of individuals in the face of technological growth, freedom of the press, legislative gender equality, and the protection of children's rights and students with disabilities. He's committed to initiatives to promote ethical economic activity, and he is one of the most dynamic conservation champions in the world. Prince Albert II has been outspoken on the critical need for environmentalism and is an active advocate for ocean conservation and the development and adoption of renewable energy sources to address global climate change. He founded the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation in 2006, the same year we presented the first Indianapolis Prize Gala, to directly raise funds and initiate action for ecological sustainability and conservation. His Serene Highness is represented tonight by John B. Kelly III. Mr. Kelly is His Serene Highness's cousin and the president of the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation, USA. The foundation is focused on climate change, polar and ocean conservation, biodiversity, and clean drinking water. Mr. Kelly is CFO of Viterra and an advisor on alternative energy and material projects. He is a former investment banker and serves on the board of the Fairmount Park Conservancy. His degree from Harvard is in economics. Please welcome John Kelly.
Thank you very much, and good evening. Jane, before I get into my remarks, I just wanted to make a note that, Albert's mother, of course, was a great actress, and it's wonderful to have an award for Albert named after another great actress. So good evening. Bonsoir. Prince Albert called me this morning to ask me to convey his regrets for not being able to attend this weekend's events. He emphasized to me how honored he is to receive the Jane Alexander Global Wildlife Ambassador Prize and to be included in the ranks of the past awardees. Your acknowledgement of his commitment to the environmental movement is appreciated by Albert, and I believe is very well deserved. He is passionate about our need to respond to the environmental crisis of our own making, and he spends a great deal of his time promoting research, solutions, and public awareness. Thank you for acknowledging his good work. Prince Albert's loss for not being able to attend tonight is my wife Alexandra's and Mai's gain. We've enjoyed our meeting everybody here this weekend and learning more about the great conservation work done by the Indianapolis Zoo and funded by everybody here tonight. I found particularly of interest that one of your projects, the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, worked with the crawfish frogs. Amphibians live at the liminal space at the edge of our wet and dry environments. And as climate and land use changes shift that edge, these fragile species can be lost. This is good and essential work. Events like tonight are great to celebrate good work, to recognize the scientists and researchers and the field techs for the work that they do. But we are in a crisis, and we need to do more than celebrate. Rob Shoemaker's message about individual action is essential. And for emphasis, I do not mind repeating it a little bit. Some say the government should do this, or the corporations should do that. And yes, they should. And in particular, I'm in favor of a carbon tax as an effective tool to reduce CO2. But that's for another... Oh, thank you. But that's be a debate or a discussion for another night. The bottom line is that we can't wait for any of that. And each of us must do our part and start doing it now. Our individual actions may feel small, but collectively they add up. And it's not about deprivation. It's about doing things smarter with the new tools and knowledge that we have. We all make choices every day at work and at home that impact the environment, some big and some small. But we can make real progress if we give ourselves permission to get away from thinking in absolutes. We don't have to be perfect environmentally, just better. You don't have to give up your car, but next time maybe buy electric or a hybrid. You don't have to give up meat entirely, but perhaps you can start enjoying more plant-based meals and save the steak for special occasions. Doing something is always better than doing nothing. When millions of people make small changes, big things happen. Industry will respond to customers. Governments eventually do respond to voters. And nature can recover. Let me just say a little bit more about my cousin. We grew up going to summers in New Hampshire and the Jersey Shore, but today I now see a man dedicated to the welfare of his country and to solving our global environmental challenge. In Monaco, they give their princes a moniker to reflect their deeds. Albert's father, Renier, was the builder prince. Albert II has become the environmental prince. He travels the world with carbon offsets, promoting biodiversity, healthy oceans, and can I say, being a wildlife ambassador. He's in a unique position to be able to do this, but he also does the kinds of things that all of us can do. When we were hiking in Ireland, he starts picking up some of the plastics and things we find on the trail. And I've seen them do this a couple of times, which is always why I wonder why his staff isn't better prepared, because there always seems to be a fuss that they have to go find a trash bag so he's not having to carry trash through the woods. But again, of course, everybody in the party with him starts doing the same. And before we know it, we've had a great hike, and we've cleaned up a little piece of the world. Albert leaves every place he goes a little better than he found it. As Prince Albert says in his video coming up, nature's health is human health. When we take care of nature, we are taking care of ourselves, our children, and each other. And Albert loves taking care of his family, his friends, and people in general. La santé de la nature et la santé humaine. Merci et bonne soirée.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends of the Indianapolis Prize, good evening. I'm extremely honored to be receiving such an important award, a truly significant one in the field of animal conservation. I'm earnestly grateful to the jury for this recognition, confirming my actions toward public awareness and protecting the environment, and placing the Principality of Monaco at the forefront of countries concerned with conservation. Please allow me to take this award as an additional encouragement to pursue my action and to stick to my convictions. It will help me keep on my commitments and my contributions to the preservation of the oceans, the conservation of coral reefs and marine protected areas, and strive to protect endangered marine species. It leads us to say that I would have preferred to have traveled to the United States to be among you tonight to receive this honor. Like my great-great-grandfather, Albert I did a century ago. Indeed, in 1921, during his last trip to the United States of America, he received two prestigious awards, the Cullum Geographical and the Alexander Agassiz Medals. He was an example of openness to others and modernity, a man eager to learn and to listen to the most avant-garde minds. He was one of the first heads of state, along with President Theodore Roosevelt, to take the measure of what was not yet called the preservation of the planet. This planet, which we never imagined would one day be in danger, he knew how to perceive its fragility as well as its importance for each and every one of us. Preserving nature has always been part of our family history, and I'm very proud to be able to perpetuate this tradition as a head of state through my government, but also through my foundation. This is the reason why I believe that the environmental fight is nothing else than fighting for humanity, a fight to truly ensure its future through a responsible way of life in a preserved environment. Dear friends, we stand at a juncture where our world is preparing to rebuild itself after more than a year of tragedy, crisis, and uncertainty, and is seeking to do so in a more sustainable and more responsible manner. This reconstruction offers us an unprecedented window of opportunity. But in order to succeed, we must give back nature the place it deserves. Nature is the solution. Nature is the key element to a sustainable future, as it is essential to our health, energy, nutrition, economy, innovation, trade, and international security. Therefore, we cannot afford anymore to allow its destruction. We need a transformative change. To do so, we should rely on scientists, environmentalists, animalists, and activists. Without their rigorous work, relentless and sometimes unrewarding, we undoubtedly would not be aware of what is happening on our planet. They also give us the solution and the support to act in consequences, to halt this destruction. They also are the ones that unite us tonight, and I would like to sincerely thank and applaud them for all their work. It is with great pride that I humbly accept the Jane Alexander Global Wildlife Ambassador Award. Thank you.
John, we're so grateful that you are here with us to represent your cousin. Your work as the president of the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation USA is so important.
It is my pleasure and my honor, Jane. Thank you very much. Your name on the Global Wildlife Ambassador Award speaks volumes.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we're gonna walk it out and move mountains. We can walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, I know sometimes you feel like dying, but I promise you will bring the world to its feet and move mountains. We can walk out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need, all we need is hope. And for that we have each other. And for that we have each other. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we'll rise. For you, for you, for you, we'll rise. We'll rise like the day, we'll rise up, in spite of the ache, we'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. We'll rise up, high like the waves, we'll rise up, in spite of the ache, we'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. We have to make sure that His Serene Highness's message gets out to everyone, to young people, to politicians, to business people, to entertainment figures, and to scientists.
Danny, you're absolutely right. And you know what? That's your job as well as ours. So please help spread this word. In fact, planning for that might make for some great dinner conversation tonight. We've provided some take-a-step cards at each table to start that conversation. We'll see you all again in just over an hour. Until then, please please enjoy the return of Project Trio.
Yeah.
Traditions are not only for keeping, they must be started and they must be cultivated. In my family, our love for the natural world has become one of our most enduring and personal traditions. It is both our duty and our joy. It started with my great-great-grandfather, who fell in love with the ocean and set sail to study its farthest reaches. He established the world's first oceanographic museum. Later, my father took up the mantle, becoming a champion of ocean sustainability and a fierce protector of the animals who live in it. Today, I'm taking their mission from the past to our present and our future. I've committed myself to finding ways to limit the effects of climate change, to safeguard biodiversity, and to manage our resources sustainably. It's a journey that has led me to the farthest edges of the earth and to my own home. Conservation isn't an individual sport, and it isn't a competition. Yes, we award a prize to an individual who has achieved great things. This campaign, this mission, can only be won together. That is why we're here, to stand as one against this monumental challenge, and to honor those who rise to it every single day. The individuals recognized by the Indianapolis Prize are working on the front lines, in the wilderness, the laboratory, in places that transcend imagination. They are leading a global movement in which countless life forms hang in the balance, including our own. Now is the time to stand together and do the right thing, so that the next generation and the one after that can continue to call this planet we share with so many others home. This is the time. This is the Indianapolis Prize.
Please welcome back to the stage Dr. Robert Shoemaker.
When we first conceived of the Indianapolis Prize almost 20 years ago, we wanted to help people understand that those people who are saving species are true heroes, and that there are a few remarkable individuals among us whose achievements are so important, so special, and so foundational that they are defining the future of our planet. But we knew that the prize would also need to adapt and change. We added the Jane Alexander Global Wildlife Ambassador Award in 2014 to honor those who spread the message of wildlife conservation with credibility, consistency, power, and effectiveness. And now, we are ready to introduce the next important Indianapolis Prize initiative. We're surrounded tonight by legends who have fought for our planet, blazed paths to victory, and literally saved species from extinction. Every one of our Indianapolis Prize winners and finalists is committed with their thoughts, words, and actions to the future. And the future requires that the next generation of conservation superstars be identified, supported, recognized, and mentored. And so, we are proud and excited to announce the beginning of our next step, the Indianapolis Prize Emerging Conservationist Award. We must ensure that the best and brightest of our next generation achieve their full potential. The Indianapolis Prize Emerging Conservationist Award will play a key role in positioning future Indianapolis Prize winners on their path to victories we will all share. The Sidekick Foundation, based here in central Indiana, has stepped forward to fund this new program to bring recognition and financial support to emerging conservationists who are most likely to achieve future successes in sustaining imperiled species. Please join me in thanking the Sidekick Foundation and President Trey Fazenfeld for their incredible support and vision. Applications for the very first Emerging Conservationist Award open on Monday, September 27th. And that award will be presented right here on this stage on September 30th, 2023, along with the winner and finalists of the 2023 Indianapolis Prize. Thanks. Now, let's welcome back our hosts, Ann Thompson and Danny Washington.
Thank you, Rob. And before we get started, how about a big round of applause for the servers and all the people who worked on our dinner tonight? Thank you very much. Now it's time for you to meet 6 of the most important people in the world, the 5 Indianapolis Prize finalists, and the 2021 winner are not just experts, they are champions. A champion is someone with unsurpassed skills and strengths, matchless preparation and understanding, and unwavering dedication. A champion is someone who stands for others, carrying the burdens of many and fulfilling responsibilities that only the best of the best of the best can achieve. As Rob said earlier, there are nearly 8 billion people on our planet today, and in another 30 years, there will be 10 billion. The world for your children and grandchildren, the world they live in just 30 years from now, will be defined in many ways by the people we are honoring here tonight. Their work will establish the ecosystem balances that will determine the food and natural resources, the weather, and the security of those who follow us. And of course, their work will also determine our world's beauty. Our Indianapolis Prize heroes are not just saving species, they are protecting the integrity and diversity of life on Earth.
Thank you, Anne. Primatologist Dr. Christophe Boesch's first field experience was in Rwanda with a legend, Diane Fossey of Gorillas in the Mist fame. He moved to Côte d'Ivoire to study chimpanzees, and that began a lifetime commitment to our closest genetic relatives. We've seen a decline of 80% in the number of Africa's western chimpanzees, and over the past 20 years alone, we've seen that Christophe Boesch has been quoted and said it's a miracle that there are still chimpanzees at all. What most experts understand is that miracle has a name, and it's Christophe Boesch.
I think I am like every human on this planet. The chimpanzees are our closest living relative. They look sometimes so incredibly similar to us. And, you know, they behave like humans. They use tools. So there is a fascination because when you look at the behavior of the chimpanzees, you somewhere see something about us there. Fresh algae.
Christophe has been a leader in chimpanzee conservation in West Africa for decades. His passion for conservation is well known, and he has been instrumental in creating national parks as a tool for permanent protection of the environment and the chimpanzee populations in these countries.
Dr. Christophe Boesch is an academic administrator,
a professor, and a researcher. But he's also an explorer, a pioneer, and thankfully, a warrior for the survival of beings with whom we share so much. Boesch's lifelong dedication to studying and saving primates began early in his career when he worked with mountain gorillas in Rwanda under the legendary Dr. Dian Fossey. In his early 20s, he shifted his focus to the Ivory Coast of Africa, where he has spent much of the last 4 decades studying the behavior and habitats of one of our closest relatives, the chimpanzee.
When you start, I had no idea how to find the chimpanzees. There is no path, there is no way. You can lose your way in a second. They all are extremely scared of humans. So when we spent our first 2 years in the forest, we only saw black shadows running away.
At Thai National Park, Dr. Boesch created the Pan-African Chimpanzee Program, studying an aspect of chimpanzee life that most might overlook, their culture. Developing a new understanding of the rich complexities of the chimpanzee, it also led to a grim discovery of the perils facing them.
There were illegal loggings going on everywhere in Africa. The forest is being destroyed, cut. And that, made it very clear to me that you can't be just in your ivory tower as a scientist. You need also to consider what is going on with nature.
Agricultural deforestation and hunting over many decades resulted in chimpanzee populations dropping to critical levels. Dr. Boesch and his wife Hedwig created the Wild Chimpanzee Foundation, which protects chimpanzees by preserving their habitats. To date, WCF has established protected lands in the Ivory Coast, Liberia, and Guinea, engaging local farmers and policymakers to protect chimpanzee habitat while finding balance in their own way of life.
What species is this one? We are working with the farmers. We are also showing them how to do it because we know once we leave, it is very important for the farmer to understand why it is important to leave trees on the farm.
This has been a driving thinking in our project to keep this coexistence alive, working with the local communities, because otherwise it will never work.
Thanks to Dr. Boesch's Wild Chimpanzee Foundation, the 500 chimpanzees remaining at Thai National Forest will have their best opportunity for survival. The same is true of the Moyen Bathing region in Guinea, home to the world's largest remaining chimpanzee population.
He inspires you just by his passion. If somebody can love nature this much, then there must be a lot of value in it.
I feel actually adept toward the chimpanzees. They had allowed me to make my life as a researcher successful, and now I think also that I need to pay back something for the chimpanzees. There's a lot of hope, and the hope is that we have national parks everywhere, and that it will be a source of well-being for the whole of humanity. The only way to improve things is to continue to fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Christophe Boesch.
Dr. Dee Boersma is a 3-time finalist for the Indianapolis Prize and a true Hall of Famer for wildlife conservation. Dee, if you know her, you know she is unstoppable with extraordinary energy and a passion about anything penguin. Dee has a unique combination of intellectual understanding, academic rigor, boundless curiosity, and commitment to action. The Magellanic penguins faced challenges that may not have allowed them to make it far into this century.
Dee Boersma and I first encountered each other in the Galapagos Islands in the 1970s. We've roomed together on expeditions.
It's about 1.5 meters back. She's got 2 eggs.
I love the way Dee looks at the world, at life in the world, looks at her beloved penguins and treats them with such respect, really zeroes in and gets to know individual colonies, individual birds, rehabilitates nests, and is bringing back some of these critically endangered animals from what would seem to be an inevitable track to extinction.
Dee fundamentally loves penguins. The approach she's used is really to think about how penguins integrate across a variety of things that play out in the ocean. So it's a combination of being fundamentally interested in this single set of species of birds, but also in terms of what they tell us about the broader world.
She's extremely well known for this 30-year plus data set that she has on Magellanic penguins in South America. She's able to do all of the governmental relations and soft communication and people skills that are required to get conservation accomplished on the ground, but she's really driven by the quality of science.
Dedication is a word too many of us take lightly. But few would dispute that Dee Boersma has dedicated her life to studying and saving penguins. She has worked virtually non-stop in the Galapagos Islands as well as Punta Tumbo, Argentina, home to the world's largest population of Magellanic penguins, going toe-to-toe with companies that were commercially harvesting the birds for their oil and skin.
I couldn't believe that anybody was going to harvest, Magellanic penguins. And so I went down to determine what was the population size at Punta Tumbo and could they harvest penguins in a sustainable manner. And of course, the answer to that, I knew before I went. No, you can't do that.
Dealing with Argentine bureaucracy is quite something. I think a person of lesser drive would have said, forget it, it's not worth it. She tackles things with great gusto, follows through, which is why we have detailed demographic data on the penguins at Punta Tumbo. It's one of the best demographic series of any wild animal anywhere.
Dr. Boersma's work directing the Magellanic Penguin Project at Punta Tumbo revealed that penguins were not only under assault from those harvesting them, but were also severely threatened by oil dumped at sea. She persuaded the Argentinian government to move oil tanker lanes further offshore and created the historic marine protected area at Punta Tumbo, a critical achievement that continues to protect vital ocean feeding grounds. But as sea levels rise, some of the first lessons in how habitats are affected can be learned by studying penguins where they live.
Penguins are really ocean sentinels, and they tell us a lot about the environment before you even really recognize it. Sea levels, of course, because of global climate change, are rising. Penguins nest really close to the beaches, so some of the nests that were suitable 40 years ago are now gone.
Dee is famous for getting her hands dirty. She ends up hauling literally tons of lava rock to build these huts, which serve as artificial caves for Galapagos penguins to nest in.
Dee's personality is big, it's intense, it's why she's been able to do all that she's been able to do for the penguins, for wildlife.
This is a white morph.
When you see her working with other students, you can see them all immediately become enthralled in what she's talking about because she exudes so much passion.
This 40 years ago was not a marine reserve, it is now.
Dee is the ambassador for those organisms that share the planet with us. They don't have a voice unless one of us gives them a voice. Dee has been a powerful voice for them.
I want people to change the world, and I want to make it better for wildlife and for conservation. And that's only going to be done one person at a time. All of us can do something.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Dee Boersma.
If you were going to make a movie about a swashbuckling conservationist with a serious academic credential, or credentials, as I should say, you might want to get our 2018 Jane Alexander Global Wildlife Ambassador to star in it. But if Harrison Ford weren't available, you could just go with the real thing. Dr. Gerardo Ceballos. Absolutely. Gerardo is an ecologist who studies the global patterns of species distribution, extinction patterns, and processes, and how best to link conservation and development. He's devoted to designing protected areas, as well as his efforts that have contributed to the first Mexican Endangered Species Act. His motto is, "Let us be actors, not spectators." And like the jaguars he works to protect, he is one cool cat.
What I love most is to be outside. I really love to go to wild places to see mammals and birds in the wild. This drives basically my appetite to save this species and these habitats, and this keeps me going. And those are the howler monkeys. Yeah.
Gerardo is one of the most important conservationist scientists in the world. You are drawn to him, and you are drawn to listening to him. He knows what he's talking about, and you're going to have a good time. You're going to laugh a lot.
I will compare him with Jane Goodall, with David Attenborough. The thing about Gerardo is he can make a small thing bigger.
Dr. Gerardo Ceballos has dedicated his life to protecting Mexico's richly diverse wild places. In 1991, he helped create the country's first Endangered Species Act, a landmark that protects over 4,000 species and 1.5% of the country's landmass. These protected areas have expanded to over 3 million acres as of 2020. To ensure the safety of these lands, Ceballos focuses his efforts on saving Mexico's most iconic flagship species, the jaguar.
Hola, Panchito. Qué gusto.
In the Calakmul Biosphere Reserve, Ceballos has enlisted some of Mexico's top environmental scientists to run a sophisticated jaguar tracking program.
We put these collars on the dogs so we can follow them. We track the jaguars with them.
Under his guidance, the jaguar population in Mexico has grown from 4,000 in 2010 to nearly 5,000 as of 2021.
Oh, wow, that's great. This is one of our jaguars. The camera traps is one of our basic tools to develop conservation measures. We choose jaguars for several reasons. On the one hand, in Mexico, jaguar has been very important for the culture since prehistoric times. There is an estimate that we're saving more than 70,000 species of plant animals and microorganisms. If you protect jaguars, you protect the forest, and by doing that, we're saving the whole thing. The jaguar project wouldn't be able to be successful if we didn't have the local people. They know how to chase the jaguar, they know how to trap it, they know how to run the camp, they know how to walk in the forest.
He has actually achieved real conservation strategies, and not only the strategies, but the strategies have become like this, private reserves that really work.
Countless species still face the prospect of extinction in Mexico, where climate change, agriculture, and land development continue to threaten its rich biodiversity. Ceballos extends his understanding of conservation planning into the corridors of power, forming the National Jaguar Conservation Alliance and pushing government for policies that support conservation efforts worldwide.
In Mexico, he's highly regarded by the government, from ministers of the environment to governors. He has had a lot of influence. He has helped to create several reserves or expand other reserves. And that's a work that should last probably 100 years and will benefit thousands of people.
He always tells us that everything can be improved. He always motivates us, showing us examples of better projects in this, or people doing better things than us, or how we can grow as biologists.
But Gerardo has a goal. I know this guy is a very smart guy. He's a leader in the conservationism, one of the leaders in the worldwide.
We are basically facing what I think is the most important challenge that humanity has faced, because life on Earth depends on the wild plants and animals. How do I keep optimistic in the face of so many challenges? It's hard to tell, but it's something I think you are born with, you know? To think my work is helping plants and animals to survive, and it's also giving a better chance for my children to being able to see this when they grow up. I mean, I feel at peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Gerardo Ceballos.
Dr. Sylvia Earle has one of the best nicknames in the world. His Serene Highness is not bad, but Sylvia is known as her deepness. We're talking about the person who set the world record for the deepest solo dive without a tether. Also, the world record for the deepest solo free dive without scuba tanks, and who led the first team of women aquanauts on a project that explored the effects of pollution on coral reefs without coming to the surface for 2 weeks. She's published more than 100 scientific papers, but if you ask Dr. Sylvia Earle about the most important factor in wildlife conservation, her answer comes very quickly. Make a difference, she insists, starts with caring.
Sylvia is a person of great joy. She's brave and she's bold, and that comes across in everything that she does. As a woman and as a professional and as a mother, Sylvia provides incredible inspiration on a daily basis. She's on a bigger mission. She rises above.
Sylvia's an explorer. She's a scientist, but she's just relentless in that drive to go deeper, go further, be the first human to lay eyes on a part of our world where most life on Earth exists.
When she walks into a room, everybody is just in awe over her. They know what a national treasure she is. She is recognized globally as a scientist. I see her as a woman who's trying to save humanity.
It may sound like a cliche, but Dr. Sylvia Earle is quite simply a legend. Still hard at work in her mid-80s, she's one of those people who children come home from school talking about, and one of those people you see on posters and in documentaries. New Jersey born, she spent much of her early life in Florida, where she found her calling.
My backyard was the Gulf of Mexico, and I think that helped focus my mind and educate me about the diversity of life in the sea. That basic history of life, it's right there for anyone to witness.
After earning a PhD from Duke University, Earle applied for the groundbreaking TechTite project in 1969, an unprecedented underwater laboratory off the coast of the Virgin Islands. Earle became the first woman to lead an undersea expedition, giving her all-female team of scientists weeks of uninterrupted ecological studies.
People just went crazy over the fact that these women went down there and they were able to carry the gear and they were doing all these things.
In 1979, Earle walked untethered on the seafloor at the greatest depth attained by any woman in history. In 1990, she became the first female chief scientist of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Later, she turned her attention back to fieldwork, using deep-sea filmmaking to bring the darkest regions of the ocean to a worldwide audience, and working to pioneer technology that will make deep-sea tourism a reality.
If there were one thing that I could do to change the way people think about the ocean and about the creatures who live in the ocean, it would be to get them to just understand that ocean life is wildlife. We need to get people to understand, to care why wildlife matters, and to find the balance, a place for ourselves within the natural systems that keep us alive.
In 2006, Dr. Earle inspired then-President George W. Bush to create the Northwestern Hawaiian Islands Marine National Monument. The
project was expanded by President Barack Obama, who came to see Earle's work firsthand at the Midway Atoll in 2016.
I see one of your constituents has come up
I
here.
noticed. Doesn't seem that excited about meeting the president. All of us depend on these ecosystems. And
Yes.
in some ways, they're incredibly resilient if we do the right thing, but they're also really fragile.
Dr. Earle received the 2009 TED Prize for her proposal to establish a global network of marine protected areas known as hope spots. Areas where ocean life has been depleted, but that can rebound if protected. Her foundation, known as Mission Blue, has grown the network to more than 130 hope spots around the world.
She's the first one to get in the water and the last one to get out. You know, this woman is leaving it all on the field. And so that inspires you to do the same?
Don't ever ask to carry her bag. It's kind of a mystery how she's able to keep the pace she does, 300 days of travel. She's as tough as nails.
That's her. She's out on the road 6-7 days a week, giving her message because we haven't gotten it yet. The time is now, and she knows that. That's what drives her.
If people ask me, do you still dive? And I say, well, I'm still breathing. As long as I can continue to get out there, down there, and splash around in the wild places, I will. I have to. I don't have a choice.
Ladies and gentlemen, her deepness, Dr. Sylvia Earle.
As Executive Vice President for Conservation and Science for the Wildlife Conservation Society, Dr. John Robinson is the commander of a small army. With current work on around 500 projects in 60 countries, WCS is one of the most important conservation organizations in the world, and John has been guiding policy and programs there for more than 30 years. But John's not a desk-bound general. As a primatologist, John did fieldwork in South America for 15 years, and even after founding the Program for Studies in Tropical Conservation at the University of Florida, he kept finding his way back into the jungle. Perhaps the administrator of the United Nations Development Program put it best when he wrote, "There is no doubt that in his mind, that hundreds, if not thousands of species and the land they need to survive would not have been protected in perpetuity, but for John's unstinting efforts to help save life on Earth."
At its core, I think I am a person of the world. That's where I feel most comfortable. Being in new places, I think of myself as someone who is a global citizen, and I'm doing what I can to contribute to that global world.
Illegal fishing. That is a big thing in this area.
When we went up the river, we saw a lot of fish, and so their protection is working.
Dr. John Robinson has spent a lifetime gaining the knowledge of how to manage and conserve whole landscapes. The son of a diplomat, Robinson was born in Paris and learned early on the value of seeing the world through the eyes of others. For the first 15 years of his career, he applied this skill in field conservation, beginning with a study of primate behavior and ecology.
John was a fine primatologist. Right? His early work is excellent. His early research on wildlife hunting is still classic work that people cite to this day.
He was studying Callicebus monkeys in Colombia. He saw their habitat disappearing. Cattle ranches maybe taking over forest.
You just sort of have this great feeling of loss that moved me from being just a biological scientist into becoming a conservationist.
In 1980, Dr. Robinson established the University of Florida Program for Studies in Tropical Conservation, a hub for training students and developing a conservation model for future work, a self-described pragmatic approach to conservation policy and implementation. Moving to the Wildlife Conservation Society, or WCS, in 1990, he inherited a small but legendary group of field scientists, headquartered at the Bronx Zoo, and took it global.
He had the vision to say we could grow this small field research program into a global conservation program. Under John's leadership, it's since then just blossomed and grown. We now have this huge global conservation program doing wildlife conservation in 60 countries worldwide.
As the Executive Vice President for Conservation and Science for WCS, Dr. Robinson oversees conservation programs in all of the Americas, Africa, and Asia. Through empowering local people to manage their home ranges and parks, Dr. Robinson's lasting legacy may be the staying power of these conservation strategies.
Wow. So I don't see a WCS logo on a coffee plantation very often.
Science focuses on facts. We do things not because we hope that it's going to work out. We do it because the facts tell us that it will.
Those berries are very full of energy. He looked at this conservation area and he said, if I plant the coffee under the trees, they'll do better. That would also be compatible with this conservation forest.
It is the local national staff who think through exactly how do we do it.
The approach that WCS and local communities, together with government, are trying to do here is to trying to address the threats. WCS key missions is to help the species that live inside the park to survive and to reproduce.
Namatpului had almost its full complement of species, but populations had really been pushed down. Also, throughout the park, there still remains unexploded ordnance from what we call the Vietnam War. Rangers at a place like that really have an immense responsibility of protecting the area. They're dealing with people whose livelihoods are very, very dependent on natural resources.
This was the brilliance that John had in understanding how conservation really works. Getting people to be able to make a better living doing conservation has always been a priority. But your goal should always be to have an exit strategy that allows what you have achieved to be continued in perpetuity.
If I think about Dr. John Robinson, I think about the father of conservation, not just for Laos, but the global conservation. I'm so proud to follow the steps of Dr. John Robinson.
He does it because he loves it. Why does he still love it? It's as important today as it's ever been. He wants to make a difference. He is this kind of secret giant.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. John Robinson.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the stage, Jane Alexander.
I suspect that some people think it must be easy to be a reigning monarch. But when you're committed to leaving the world in better shape than it was when you entered it, I suspect that there are a fair number of sleepless nights, no matter who you are. His Serene Highness has worked hard to fulfill what he sees as his duty to our planet. He met personally with scientists who could help him understand the importance of oceans for climate and for the incredible range of ecosystem services that marine environments provide. He concluded that the simple fact that half of the oxygen that we breathe is produced by the oceans should be reason enough to mobilize around the issue of better protecting them. And no one understands that better than Dr. Amanda Vincent. Amanda Vincent is a seahorse conservationist, and seahorses need her desperately. Fortunately, she has shown that she not only understands them, but she also understands us. She has shown us how seahorses are flagship species for the health of entire marine ecosystems, and she works to tell good news stories, always seeking solutions that generate optimism and action by the largest possible number of people. Amanda Vincent and her Project Seahorse team have made real, measurable, important gains in marine conservation, with exciting outcomes and critical impacts. That is what conservation is about, and that is what the Indianapolis Prize is about. Not just trying hard, but achieving real victories.
Dear Amanda, I would like to apologize for not being able to personally congratulate you this evening. Please do receive my warmest congratulations for this well-deserved prize, the world's leading award for animal conservation. I know you are a limitless, restless, and passionate environmental scientist and activist, but also a self-proclaimed ocean optimist. Therefore, I trust you in continuing to inspire us, to educate and teach us on how best preserve this mystical species, which are seahorses. In this respect, I'm pleased to inform you that the Principality of Monaco launched the Seahorse Repopulation Program in the coastal waters of Monaco on June 16th by releasing seahorses into the Larvotto Reserve. I'd like to thank the Indianapolis Prize Committee, which has rightly decided to give this prestigious prize for the first time to a marine biologist. It gives the marine studies an important and well-deserved place in the academic world. Dear Amanda, I'd like to thank you and the Project Seahorse team for your continuous support, your achievements in the marine conservation efforts, but also for your immeasurable impact on ocean conservation and the future of seahorses around the world. Thank you and congratulations.
I grew up in a family that was pretty eccentric. When I was 2 years old, my father and my mother threw over everything to do with our normal life and headed off to South America. I've always felt this deep affinity for the outside. There's something about its moods and its abundance, as it once was, that gripped me to the bottom of my soul.
So, what have you got in there? Fins, masks? Have you got the research gear ready?
This is how you change the world. You build a future you want with all your heart, one that we all need. You prepare thoroughly. You build a team. You engage people. And you never lose your passion.
This area really is my spiritual home in the Philippines. This is where the conservation work on seahorses first started globally.
Dr. Amanda Vincent was the first biologist to study seahorses underwater in their natural habitats. Realizing the seahorse's popular cultural appeal could be a catalyst for driving major advances in ocean conservation, she founded Project Seahorse in 1996, an organization dedicated to finding conservation solutions by understanding interdependencies between marine life and human communities. Beginning with her early work in the Philippines, Vincent's science gave birth to global action.
We put seahorses at the center of the universe. We do research that will inform conservation action, and then that conservation action guides our research.
Seahorses, I think, were probably Amanda's shrewdest move. If you reach the objective of saving seahorses, you can only achieve that by having a healthier marine habitat.
I'd once seen a notice saying that the Philippines exports an awful lot of seahorses to help men with weak tails. I translate literally from German. Everybody kept directing us to this area of the Philippines and eventually down to this very village. So we came here and indeed found that about half of the villagers were dependent on seahorse fishing for half of their income.
Dr. Vincent took on a challenge many considered insurmountable: the unsustainable global trade of dead seahorses. Each year, millions are harvested for use in traditional medicine. Vincent successfully fought to place seahorses on the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species, leading the way for the listing of seahorses at the 2002 Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. Seahorses became the first marine fish to be included in the convention since it was signed. Because of Amanda Vincent, 182 nations are now required to regulate seahorse exports for sustainability.
That was an unbelievable watershed in marine conservation. Amanda just made us realize that seahorses were being driven to extinction by unregulated trade and got people to think about fish as wildlife. They're not just a product that's just dried and traded and sold.
Amanda and her Project Seahorse team were looking for a country that had a strong marine conservation reputation to help endorse the protection of the trade of seahorses. And so, of course, we accepted wholeheartedly to support her efforts in this area. We were able to show that we can not only help protect the species, but help reintroduce it, and I hope that it will continue for many years to come.
Beginning in the waters of Andayan Island in the Philippines in the 1990s, Vincent created a model that has become a guiding light for conservation action: marine protected areas. Many guidelines for global conservation action come from Dr. Vincent's work with local governments and citizens where seahorses live. These areas have since expanded to over 35 protected watersheds around the globe.
If you do it right, then that community tells the next all about it, and the next one is easier. That's what's made marine protected areas so common in the Philippines, that villages see the benefits and they want one.
When I was a kid, the idea of a reserve in the ocean was crazy. And we're going to be shooting for 30% by 2030, and there's a policy commitment to that. We've got the seahorses flourishing in a well-protected habitat with good commitment from the community in a country that we're working with on a national level that is playing a role in global conservation. This is where it all started.
Globally, she's an icon or like a symbol for the seahorses. She's really an amazing person. She raised 2 kids as a single mom, at the same time trying to save the ocean. So it's, what can you say, a superwoman maybe, I don't know.
I have the Philippines close to my heart. I mean, this island is called Andayan Island. I named my daughter Andaya after this island so that I would always have Andayan and Andaya close to my heart.
I think we're really lucky to travel with our mom. If you actually go and see and feel and learn about the environment around you, then I think we have a bigger understanding. I'm very proud of her.
She really does tons of stuff, and being a single parent is really hard. She's a really good mom.
If we're going to get it right for the planet, we have to get it right for the ocean. I really think we're poised to make a big breakthrough, but it will require a collective effort. Just throw your heart and soul into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and welcome the winner of the 2021 Indianapolis Prize, Dr. Amanda Vincent.
Something else, but it's jam it. What? Sorry.
here we are at last. Wow. It's extraordinary. It's just wonderful. People keep asking me what the Indianapolis Prize, or as we know it, the Indy Prize, means to me. It means so much. It means honor, an honor to me and an honor to the ocean. It means validation. It means excitement. It means impetus, like propelling us forward. And it means promise, the possibility of the future, but also my promise to you that we will do more. We will do more. I obviously have a few thanks. So many thanks, I'm not going to try to get through them all. But every single person who's touched this voyage has contributed something. And I am deeply, deeply appreciative. The Indy Prize, of course, and all the amazing people here who contribute to it in so many different ways. My wonderful finalist colleagues, 3 amazing men who work on the land, and 2 other amazing women who work in the ocean, and Danny Washington, who works in the ocean. This is really exciting to have ocean people here. It's really splendid, and I'm very, very mindful that this is the first time we've given it to a fully ocean project. I do need to thank my mother, who's here, without whom I would definitely not be here. So thank you to my mother. And of course, my 2 amazing children, whom I absolutely adore, who are way over there somewhere. I need to acknowledge my father, who gave me this seahorse brooch when I was 8 years old. He died, unfortunately, but of course this carries me forward. I need to thank my Project Seahorse family, who have been with me through thick and thin. Heather Coldaway, who's British, so can't be here, but who co-founded Project Seahorse with me. Sarah Foster, who's been working by my side for 20 years. Gina Bespier, with us for 14 years, and so many others around the world, including Mia in the film, who's been with us for 20 years. They are such a delight and such a reward. I want to thank the communities of the Philippines, of Vietnam, and of so many other countries where we've worked, who have shown such faith and confidence in terrible adversity, and who thankfully have been rewarded with generating more fish and slightly improved fisheries because of the work we've done together. Colleagues around the world, particularly in the IUCN Seahorse, Pipefish, and Sea Dragon Specialist Group, and so many other institutions, collaborators, colleagues, non-governmental organizations, every one of you matters enormously. Particularly need to thank donors, of course, too numerous to mention, but I'm deeply grateful to Gillian Chocolates in particular, and the Shed Aquarium and the Langar Foundation. I just want to allude to a few principles that I think have propelled us forward with Project Seahorse. Those principles include the acceptance that we know enough. We have to stop with this constant demand for perfect knowledge. A wise colleague of mine once said there is no such thing as perfect knowledge. There's imperfect knowledge or none at all. There's imperfect decision-making or none at all. There's imperfect advice or none at all. And at the moment, we're too often tending to wait till we had everything laid out before us before we take action. We need to take action with imperfect knowledge in a framework of adaptive management where we learn as we go, explicitly involving everybody in the challenge of finding the right way forward. We know enough to get going on almost everything. And our story of marrying research and management and policy in a tight feedback loop has been very special and very valuable. We've made enormous strides that way. We've also made enormous strides by marrying community-level work, seahorse biology, habitats and ecosystems, community-level work, work with national governments, work on law and order, work on economic activities, right out to the global United Nations conventions. We've done well with that, but we've always kept in mind that conservation is not really a scientific endeavor. It's about human behavior. It's about making certain that we work with the people who are interacting with our wild spaces. And a subsistence fisherman in the Philippines said it best when he said, conservation is just personal discipline.
Personal discipline will get us a long way. Seahorses have been magical in helping us to save the seas, and we're going to put a push on that to make this even more effective. I want everybody to close their eyes for 1 minute, please. Humor me. And I want you to imagine your favorite hillside, your favorite forest, a part of the world you adore. And I want you to imagine 2 helicopters flying over top with a big razor wire stretched between them. And they are mowing down every single tree and every single bush and every single blade of grass. They are removing every bird, bee, butterfly, bat. And then they're taking that, they're plowing the topsoil too. They're taking all those life forms and they are reducing them into fish meal or fish oil. They are selling them for aquaculture feed or chicken feed for pennies a kilogram. That, my friends, is what's happening to the ocean on a daily basis with a fishing gear called bottom trawling. Bottom trawling, you may now open your eyes, is an abomination. We would not allow that for 1 minute on land. And yet hundreds of thousands do it every day in the ocean. This is the biggest proximate threat to our ocean, this bottom trawling, and it has to stop. When I tell you further that those boats are often crewed by slave labor or indentured labor, or that the shrimp caught on them are peeled on shore by women who are enslaved or indentured, you understand my rage. When I tell you that subsidies from our governments around the world are keeping that insane fishing practice going, you'll understand my frustration and the silliness of it, to be generous. But when I further tell you that most of those bottom trawl fisheries have no goal at all, no target, they go out to grab life itself indiscriminately, you'll understand why I call it annihilation fishing. Again, it has to stop. Now, the good news is, I want to go back to His Serene Highness's comments. When the madness stops, the ocean can recover, and that's what matters. The other thing is we know what to do. We need to get rid of bottom trawling in inshore areas, get rid of bottom trawling in protected areas, get rid of those subsidies, and stop the expansion of bottom trawling. We know what to do. And this I beg your help on. What we most need is a sense of righteous outrage, and you are my ambassadors, please. Go and talk about bottom trawling, and let's get this into everybody's discussions. I want to raise a ruckus, because I think if people understood, we'd be stopping this, and we'd be safeguarding not just the seahorses, but the other marine life of the ocean. This is where we're going to put our next 10 years. We've heard a lot tonight about how everybody has a way to contribute. And they do. And I'm going to give you a slight framework for that, going from the Philippines, where there are 2 words for the pronoun we, W-E, the 2 words. One is kami, which means a particular group of people hearing this. And one is kita, that means everybody hearing this. So, Among Proyecto, our project for Project Seahorse, our project for the Philippines villages, is one thing. But ending bottom trawling, my friends, is Atong Proyecto. It belongs to kita. It belongs to each and every one of us. It is not a discrete challenge. And I invite you to join us on this voyage. You know, every person in this room cares about conservation, and you show it in myriad ways that delights and rewards me. The Indianapolis Prize is a superb honor, and I am determined to put it to use. I am determined to use it to access the halls of power, to take forward our capacity to change the world. I invite you to contribute. We need friends, we need supporters, we need allies, we need you. Because you know what? Saving seahorses will save the seas, and saving the seas is going to save life itself. Thank you so very much.
It's an honor for me to be here among the people who are protecting the future of our planet. But everyone here tonight has an important role to play. You are leaders, you are decision makers, and you are all influencers. Your actions can make an authentic difference. If you take a step today, you will save species tomorrow. Take a step. Support local resourcing, shopping, and eating wherever you can. Take a step and donate or recycle your old or unneeded belongings. Take a step and recycle your used electronics. They aren't trash. Do the work that's required to find reuse or recycling solutions for them. Take a step and tell others that it's not just a personal preference to care about protecting nature and inspiring people to care about our world. It's a fact that our own survival depends on it. Take a step and commit to personally conserving our natural resources. And take a step to support the successful conservation programs that are making a real difference. I started this evening with a personal message of hope. You are the reason that I am relentlessly optimistic about the future of our planet. If each person here tonight takes a few thoughtful, bold, and deliberate steps, we can quite literally change the world. Thank you for being a part of the solution. Good night. Thank you for watching and being a part of this special evening. For more information on the Indianapolis Prize and how you can take a step to help wildlife, go to indianapolisprize.org.